Star Wars has a lore and a history that is deep and compelling and full of mystery. Even if you didn't look at a single shred of the expanded universe, what we see on screen in Star Wars suggests a nuanced and a layered world. We see things on screen that require no explanation, but they raise questions about the history and the larger story of the Star Wars galaxy. Now, Star Wars does explore a lot of these things. The Clone Wars used to just be a reference in the original film, and now it's one of the most deeply explored chapters of Star Wars lore. But I think there are some things that Star Wars shouldn't give us an answer for. Discovering new things about the Star Wars universe might be cool sometimes, but other times a lot is lost when we learn the truth. Boba Fett's face used to be a topic of mystery and debate, and now we know what he looks like. That's nothing soul-crushing, but now we miss out on the fun of speculation. So what are some things that I think Star Wars shouldn't explain? Now, this isn't an exhaustive list. It deals exclusively with canon material, and it's in no specific order. So here it goes. Yoda's species. Yoda has already been demystified quite a bit, and some of his more unbelievable antics have already kind of stripped him of a lot of his mystique. But one thing Yoda still has is that we have no idea what his species is or where he comes from. I would have preferred that Yoda was the only member of his species, but we did get Yaddle in The Phantom Menace. I don't really understand why, but still, we don't know where they come from or what they're called, and I hope it stays that way. Not knowing is fun here. The nature of the Force. Oh wait, didn't Star Wars already explain that?
Midichlorians.
Midichlorians?
Midichlorians.
I can understand how this was a huge thing. Trying to sci-fi-ify the Force, which really deserves to be a fantasy concept, that's pretty unnecessary. But I really appreciate how the Clone Wars TV show backpedaled on midichlorians, where it suggested that the Jedi understanding of midichlorians is somehow insufficient and isn't necessarily the whole truth. Our limited understanding of the mechanism of the Force leads us to label these things in a certain way, but we don't really understand them as confidently as the Jedi appear to in The Phantom Menace. So for me, this topic was effectively re-mystified, and I hope we never go back there again, and it doesn't seem like we will. What caused R5-D4 to malfunction? This one sounds pretty minor, right? But I've seen Star Wars fans debating this one for years. I remember talking about this with my friends in grade school, and there are lots of explanations for this. Some of them have even been semi-official. Was R5 sabotaged by R2? But if so, R2 sabotaging R5 only makes sense in the situation that actually unfolded. No other scenario makes sense. So maybe R5 was a noble droid that didn't want to split up R2 and C-3PO and faked his own malfunction. Or maybe he knew there was a higher cause and he sacrificed his chance at a better life with a moisture farmer in order to ensure the success of R2's mission. Maybe it was just a really convenient coincidence, but I'd rather not know for sure. Darth Plagueis. Was Palpatine lying about Plagueis? And just that question itself has some element of mystery to it. Was he lying about what? The fact that Plagueis could create life? Or the fact that he existed at all? Now, this topic was thoroughly explored in the novel Darth Plagueis, and a lot of people really like that history. But I'm kind of glad that it's not canon anymore, because now that history of Plagueis is just one very detailed theory about his character. And canonically speaking, we still don't know if Palpatine was tricking Anakin, or if he really had the secret to immortality. And that leads me to another really, probably pretty minor thing. Or is it? What is the energy that blasts up when Palpatine is killed? Is that Death Star reactor gas ignited by his Force lightning? Or is that Palpatine's dark soul escaping? Or what? We don't know, do we? But no matter what it is, in my opinion, the truth would be less exciting than the question. Anakins Conception. Anakin apparently was born without a father. Qui-Gon Jinn thinks he was conceived by midichlorians, and Palpatine seems just seconds away from revealing that Darth Plagueis or himself influenced the midichlorians to conceive Anakin. Is that true? Even if he wasn't involved, maybe Palpatine knew something. Or maybe Shmi was lying, or didn't know the full truth. Maybe she has a much larger, unseen role to play in the Star Wars story. Anakin's birth circumstances already annoy a lot of Star Wars fans, but I personally think that it's a lot easier to accept when it remains a mystery. Anyway, that's a completely non-exhaustive look at some Star Wars mysteries. If you have your own questions you'd like to remain unanswered, or have theories about the things I talked about, let me know. Because it's not that I don't want to talk about these subjects, I love theorizing and debating about these things. I just don't want to see them officially explored in canon. What do you think? If you like my videos, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out when I post new ones. And if you really like my videos, consider supporting me on Patreon. Your support means a lot to me and helps me devote more time and and energy to making good videos. So a huge thank you to those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.